Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. But the spirit jumped on me to go into just be thankful you understand. I know we spend a lot of time, cussing our people out of their lack of understanding and their ignorance and their rebellion. But it is a flip side to everything, right? It's a good and the bad and everything, right? So just be thankful that you understand. Be thankful that you get it. Because you could have been into a lot of this confusion, but the Lord has handpicked his elect to come out of this place Babylon mentally, and then it'll, let us qualify for the physical salvation. And what life all about? Understanding. It ain't about no money. It ain't about who got the biggest home. It ain't who got the most expensive car, who got the finest garments, right? Who got the highest credit score. That's all folly when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, because those things are temporary. What this is eternal, but our people see no value in things that's not tangible right away because they lack wisdom, they lack understanding. This is why most of our people subscribe to different versions of Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism. Take your pick your poison, right? Because they lack of understanding. Because if you don't understand something, you're lost. And that is a true saying. Knowledge is power. So let's go here. And just be thankful you get it. Because the Lord could have gave you a reprobate mind. He could have bugged you out. He could have, dulled your understanding, but he chose you to understand. This wasn't going to be a mass, awakening. It's a mass awakening going on, but it wasn't going to be like this big, like a mega church kind of ordeal. No, it's going to be a small sanctuary compared to all the people in the world. The book of Romans 11:7, it says, "What then? Israel have not obtained that which is seeking for?" So Israel is looking for their purpose. They have found comfort under their enemies in this system. They even forgot that he was in captivity because all the illusions that's on their mind. Right? It says, "But the elect of the nation Israel have obtained it, and the rest were blinded." It's very important to understand this scripture. The rest of the Israelites going to be blinded spiritually. Let's go to this. Let's go to this word. It says being spiritually blind means someone is unable to perceive or understand spiritual truths. This is why we call it the truth. It's one truth and it's many lies. And I know some of you brothers and you sisters can't believe that the Lord really dealing with you like that, you know, to wake you up, but he is. But now if you finish the race, that's why we say we're the hope for elect, because you're going to have a lot of brothers and sisters not going to make it. They're going to come for a time and endure, and then they're going to go back into the world. We saw that happen many times when the spirit leave a man, right? That's that scripture. I think that some people will come into the truth for a season or for a time, and they're going to depart back into the world for a multitude of different reasons. But mainly, it just be pressure from the world, right? They can't take the heat, and so on and so forth. It's a multitude of reasons. But they ultimately they went up the elect. That's why we said we the hope for elect. The Lord, Lord willing, the Lord give us the strength to finish, because this is a mental game. It says right here, it says in realities, it says often including Yahweh, the divine or religious teachings. It says this can't involve a lack of understanding. It says a hardening of the heart. And we see how people do this by they doubling down on Christianity. Or says already a rejection of spiritual principles, leading to a lack of faith or failure to recognize spiritual truths. Yes, I mean, our people don't put the time in, so you don't put the time in, you're not going to get the results. The Lord got to wake you up out this stupor. Let's go here. But, Most people in the world still see so-called white Jesus and they're in love with that personality. All right. So right here, Matthew 13:11. And he answered and said unto them, because it's given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. But to them is not given. That's going, Yahushua was a separatist. He was separating his chosen from the people that he's not dealing with. Right? That's why he would often teach in parables in dark sayings so he can talk over the people's head. Right? So it's only for a small sanctuary of brethren and sisters to understand and come into this congregation of the living. Because everybody else is dead, but yet their body is alive, but they spiritually dead. Let's go here. And we was once in this dull state of mind, right? Walking around in Babylon completely out of your mind. We was there. So we can't, like I said, you got to be thankful that the Lord woke you up, because that could have been you. It says Proverbs 4:7. It says wisdom is the principal thing. We'll go into this word wisdom. We'll go to the word principle. What does principle mean in this context? Therefore, get wisdom. It didn't say get the bag. It didn't say get generational wealth, and you're not going to get that on this side, Jake. And I know you don't like that, but that's just the truth. Collectively, you're not going to get that. This is not our rest. We're just passing through. It says, therefore, get wisdom. And with all that getting, get understanding. That's what it's all about in this life. And that's something that our people don't understand. They'll get it on a carnality level because they'll go to college, right, to try to so-called better themselves. But they don't understand that that's worldly Edomite knowledge that's been tainted, right? But the wisdom, let's go to this word wisdom. So you get increased in wisdom as you grow in the truth. You come off of a little babe understanding and you start to mature, right, as a grown man or a woman. That's called your spiritual maturity. Wisdom. It says the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. So some of the things our people wouldn't do if they would tap into what wisdom, but they are without. So this is why you see a bugged out culture on social media. These people literally do anything for clout, for views, right? So they don't have good judgment. It says the quality of being wise. It says right here, intelligence. It says understanding, insight. So you have to have insight as of a visionary to see that these things that haven't happened yet, you know they're going to happen. Why do we know this? Because we've been programmed to understand this. We know these things going to happen. This prophecy is going to happen just the way it's written. It's just a matter of time. But you have to believe that, right? Why are you here if you don't believe that? Right? It's not going to always be in this status quo that you see today when you're on the bottom, yet, our enemies get to, live it up. Though those days is dwindling down. I was watching the other Makama. He's going into the terrible times that's coming, right? With this tariffs and, so on and so forth. But I'll get into that lesson another day. Let's go to this word principle. It says principle at the top. It says a person who has control, Salakia, right here as the Cambridge Dictionary towards the bottom. It says principle, the first order of importance. It says the first order of importance. So that's the most important thing, is getting understanding. Remember, knowledge is power, but you have to have the correct knowledge that gives you the power. And really our power go back to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. That's the only way that we can understand, wake up, and be able to comprehend. Without the Spirit of the Lord, you cooked, as the youngsters say. You're done. Let's go here. And heart and heart, I want to go here. So we seeing this great sea of rebels among our people from different genres. They're just going on social media, displaying they disdain for the truth. They want to disassociate themselves. A lot of them so stupid they don't understand that when we make this claim, and we can prove this, that we the Hebrew Israelites from the Bible, they think we saying that it's a religion. Well, it's a religion, but they think it's like a group or organization. They don't understand that it's an ethnicity that we descend from. It says hardened heart. It says their hearts may be resistance to the light of truth, making it difficult to understand or accept spiritual messages. And that's most of our people in a nutshell, right? They in their rebellion, got them so gun-ho on just rejecting everything that's not what they familiar with. And then in that rejection that they do, they deny the truth with them, whether they know it or they don't know it. And most of our people don't know they're doing this, but they're in rebellion. And deep down, secretly in their spirit, they know they're not right. It says lack of understanding. It says they may struggle to comprehend the big picture. So all the hell we catching right now, all the sorrow that we catch on this side, it's still a very small, insignificant thing in the grand scheme of the big picture. So whatever maybe you had a flat tire today, maybe your car broke down, maybe this, maybe that. Get over it. It's a big picture in mind, and that's why you got to be building yourself up spiritually, so you can't let these things tear you down. That's the objective here. Don't put so much stock into this world. Yes, some stuff is a big deal to a certain degree, but you're to have a bigger understanding when it comes to the things that you go through, the afflictions. It's just for a short amount of time. You will pull through. It says the big picture of salvation. I'm saying you will pull through, Lord willing, if that's his plan. All right. Big picture of salvation are practical implications of spiritual principles in their lives. So why do most of our people, call us these? They call us, the T word. They say we're in a cult. They say we talking hate. Why do they do this? Because they lack of understanding. They don't know what's going on. They liken to being in a drunken state of mind, right? But they are drunk, but not with wine. But their lack of understanding is why they, kick against the pricks, so to speak. And this is going to lead onto their own demise, but they don't know it. But they'll find out. It says understanding. That's, one of the main principles in this life. It says the ability to understand something, comprehension. So the reason why most of our people can't understand the truth because they don't comprehend it. It's not registering to them. They're in a stupor, right? So-called, they drunk off the Jesus juice. It says understanding, Salakia. It says right here, the knowledge about a subject, situation, etc., about how something works, right? So it's deep. But again, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rahat, Quadash. Shalom.